Recently, there has been something different about you, and people are noticing it, even if they cannot explain why. It is not just your face anymore. It is not only your clothes or the way you carry yourself. It is not even the words you choose. It is the feeling that arrives before you say anything at all. It is the quiet change in the atmosphere when you enter a room. It is that unexpected pause when someone looks at you a little longer than they planned to. Stay with me, because this matters more than you think. What is changing in your life right now goes far beyond appearance, and the people around you are sensing it before they can put it into words. Some feel confused because you seem gentle and powerful at the same time. Others notice how your eyes hold both hope and life experience together. Some cannot understand why your presence feels peaceful while also impossible to forget. That is the real difference. You are no longer simply being noticed, you are being felt. And those are two completely different things. You did not become this version of yourself because life was easy. You did not grow through comfort or perfect circumstances. You became this person through quiet struggles, private healing, sleepless nights, and moments when no one truly knew how much weight you were carrying. Now that invisible work is beginning to show on the outside. Not in an obvious way, in a powerful way. Keep watching, because by the end of this, you may finally understand why certain people respond to you differently now, why some cannot stop thinking about you, and why your energy is starting to leave a lasting impression that appearance alone never could. There are seasons in life when change is impossible to miss. Everyone sees the breakup, the new beginning, the loss, the success, or the moment everything seems to shift. But there are also quieter seasons, and they are often the most important. These are the times when the biggest changes happen during ordinary days. No applause, no audience. No one fully understands what you are carrying inside. That is the season you quietly walked through. Somewhere between disappointment and healing, between wanting to protect yourself and choosing to stay kind, between feeling exhausted and still deciding to keep moving, something inside you became stronger. It happened slowly. It happened deeply. That is why people now feel something different whenever they are around you. They may notice your smile first, but what stays with them is the peace behind it. They may see your face, but what truly catches their attention is the calmness in your energy. It feels honest. And in a world where so much feels forced, exaggerated, or carefully performed, honesty stands out immediately. Keep listening, because this next part explains more than most people realize. The light people notice in you today did not come from an easy journey. It came from healing without becoming cold. It came from staying kind after disappointment. It came from choosing to remain open when life gave you every reason to close your heart. That kind of growth changes far more than your personality. It changes the atmosphere around you, and what happens next may surprise you. The change reaches into everything. It changes the way you listen instead of rushing to answer. It changes the way you pause before speaking. It changes how you respond with understanding instead of reacting with emotion. Even people who know very little about feelings can sense that difference without knowing how to describe it. That is one reason your presence has been surprising people lately. One moment you seem warm, playful, curious, and full of life. The next moment you seem calm, steady, thoughtful, and deeply grounded. That combination stays in people's minds because they are not used to seeing both qualities together. Most people like simple labels, loud or quiet, young or mature, soft or strong. But you no longer fit inside those easy boxes. You carry several qualities at the same time, and that makes you unforgettable. Somewhere there is someone, maybe more than one person, who noticed this during a completely ordinary moment. You were probably having a simple conversation. Maybe you were distracted. Maybe you were not trying to impress anyone. Yet something about your energy reached them so deeply that they kept thinking about it long after you were gone. Not because you demanded attention, not because you tried to stand out, simply because they felt emotionally safe around you. That feeling has become incredibly rare today. Keep watching, because the next reason explains why some people cannot seem to forget you. Many people spend years meeting attractive faces, exciting personalities, and endless conversations, yet they leave every encounter feeling empty. Then one day they meet someone whose presence feels steady, genuine, and peaceful. Suddenly they replay that simple moment over and over in their minds. That is what is beginning to happen around you now. People are no longer remembering only what you look like. They remember how they felt after being with you, and once that happens, your influence becomes much deeper than physical attraction. It reaches the heart instead of stopping at the eyes. That is why this season feels different from anything before. The people who are often the most surprised by your growth are the ones who knew an older version of you. They remember the uncertain version, the version that searched outside for reassurance, the version that doubted itself more often than it admitted. They expected to meet that same person again. Instead, they found someone calmer, someone more centered, someone who no longer needs to prove their worth. That quiet confidence catches them off guard because it cannot be copied or faked. It is earned, and once people experience that kind of presence, they rarely forget it. So stay with me, because what comes next may explain why your path is attracting exactly the right people, while gently pushing the wrong ones away without you saying a single word. Instead, they met someone calmer, gentler, yet somehow even stronger than before. Someone who no longer feels the need to prove anything to anyone. Someone whose value speaks for itself without needing attention or approval. That quiet change affects people more deeply than they are willing to admit. Because when they look at you now, they cannot ignore one simple truth. Time did not take away your light. It shaped it. Life did not reduce your beauty. It gave it depth. That realization stays with people long after the moment is over. There are quiet conversations about you happening that you will probably never hear. Honest conversations, unexpected ones, moments where people quietly admit how different your energy feels now, how peaceful, how memorable, how strangely comforting. Not because you became louder, because you became more genuine, because real peace has become rare and somehow your presence carries it without making any effort. Stay with me because what comes next explains why this change is touching people so deeply. Some people smile when your name crosses their mind and they cannot explain the reason. Some hear someone mention you and their expression changes before they even notice it. Others find themselves looking back at old photos, old conversations, or old memories, and suddenly they see everything differently. What surprises them most is not that you became a different person. It is that you became more completely yourself. That is powerful to witness. And for those who once underestimated you, it can be surprisingly emotional because they are seeing a version of you they never expected to exist. There is another reason this season feels different, and it may explain why certain reactions around you have become stronger. Your presence is beginning to make people reflect on themselves. When they spend time with you, they do not only notice your changes, they begin noticing parts of themselves as well. Your calmness quietly reveals their inner chaos. Your honesty gently exposes the masks they have been wearing. Your kindness reminds them of the walls they built to protect themselves from disappointment. Not everyone is comfortable with that feeling. Some become inspired by it. Others become nervous without knowing why. Some suddenly feel emotional even during an ordinary conversation. The reason is simple. When someone carries real peace after surviving difficult seasons, it naturally reminds others of the parts of themselves they have been avoiding. That is why even a brief look from you can feel meaningful now. That is why a short conversation can stay in someone's thoughts for the rest of the day. That is why some people become unusually quiet around you, while others begin sharing personal stories much sooner than expected. You are creating emotional impact without trying. And here is the surprising part. The less you chase attention, the more unforgettable you become. Think about that for a moment. The version of you that once worried about being enough is slowly disappearing. In its place stands someone steady, someone grounded, someone who no longer measures their value by other people's opinions. Keep watching, because the next part may explain something you have quietly been noticing yourself. You still have moments of doubt. That is completely natural. You are human, after all. But your heart no longer depends on approval the way it once did. People can sense that freedom almost immediately. They may never describe it clearly. They may not even understand what they are feeling. Yet they recognize it the moment they are around you. There is probably one person who noticed this before anyone else. They saw the way you move through conversations now, the way you no longer rush to impress anyone, the way your silence feels peaceful instead of uncomfortable, the way your expression softens when you truly listen, the way your responses carry patience instead of pressure. Somewhere during one of those ordinary moments, something quietly changed inside them. They realized you had become magnetic without becoming louder. That thought stayed with them long after they walked away. It followed them while they worked, while they drove home, while they tried to focus on something completely different. What unsettled them was not attraction alone. It was recognition. A feeling that your presence awakened something they had not experienced in a very long time. Maybe it was peace. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was emotional safety. Maybe it was the possibility that something real still exists. That can feel unfamiliar to people who have spent years surrounded by confusion, mixed signals, and emotionally exhausting relationships. Calm can seem unusual at first. Healing can feel unfamiliar. Authenticity can almost seem too pure in a world filled with performance. Yet they keep returning to the memory of you because something inside them refuses to let it go. A smile that lasted only a moment. A simple sentence, a quiet glance that seemed completely ordinary. To everyone else, nothing special happened. But to them, that moment felt different. It left a mark they could not explain. And that feeling continues to grow because your energy no longer passes through people's lives for only a second. It stays with them. It becomes part of their emotional memory. And emotional memory is always stronger than temporary attention. That is also why strangers have started responding to you in small but meaningful ways. A warmer smile, a longer glance, a quicker sense of trust, a conversation that suddenly becomes deeper than either of you expected. You may believe these are random moments. They are not. They are quiet signs of what your healing is creating in the world around you. For a long time, you may have believed that surviving your hardest seasons in silence meant no one would ever notice how much you had grown. But the truth is very different. The growth that happens quietly often leaves the deepest impression. People may never know your full story, but they can feel its results every time they are around you. And that invisible change is becoming one of the strongest parts of who you are. So stay until the end, because there is one final reason why your presence is beginning to change the lives of people you have not even realized you have touched. For a long time, you may have believed that because your hardest battles happened in silence, your growth would stay invisible too. But real growth always finds a way to show itself, not through perfection, through presence, and your presence is no longer the same. People cannot place you inside the old picture they once had of you. Their old labels no longer fit. Their old opinions no longer make sense. That alone has been quietly confusing for those who believed they understood you years ago. There may be one person, more than anyone else, who is struggling with this change even if they never admit it. They believed they knew your limits. They believed they understood how far your confidence could grow, how peaceful your heart could become, how deeply your energy could affect other people. Now they are being forced to see a completely different version of you. That is not always easy. When someone has spent years underestimating you, what they are seeing today is not fake confidence. It is not an act. It is not someone trying to gain attention. It is genuine peace. And real peace has a quiet strength that people cannot ignore. It never begs to be noticed. It never needs to prove itself. It simply exists, and everyone around it feels the difference. Stay with me, because the next part may explain why certain people cannot stop thinking about you lately. This season is different, and the reason goes much deeper than appearance. One of the strongest things about you right now is that you are no longer chasing people emotionally. Your energy is naturally drawing the right people closer without force or pressure. It happens quietly, yet its effect is powerful. Some people are especially surprised because life did not change you the way they expected. They assumed disappointment would make you cold. They believed delays would make you bitter. They imagined difficult seasons would slowly take away your kindness. Instead, something completely different happened. Life refined you. You still carry warmth. You still carry hope. You still choose kindness in moments when many others would have closed their hearts. That changes everything because deep inside, many people secretly fear that pain will one day destroy the best parts of who they are. Then they meet someone like you, someone who became wiser without becoming colder, stronger without becoming harsh, deeper without becoming distant. Suddenly, they are faced with a truth that is impossible to ignore. Pain does not always destroy gentle people. Sometimes it gives them greater depth. Sometimes it creates a quiet beauty that cannot be copied and cannot be faked. That is what people are beginning to notice when they say you seem different now. They may not have the right words, but they are responding to the quiet evidence of everything you survived. Keep watching, because the next part connects all of these pieces together in a way you may not expect. People are noticing the softness that remained inside you. They are noticing the strength that settled quietly beneath your calm. They are noticing the grace that slowly formed while no one was watching your journey. That is why there may soon be a conversation that looks completely ordinary on the surface but carries much more meaning than you expect. Someone may finally reveal, directly or indirectly, just how long they have been noticing this change in you. It might happen during a casual conversation. It could appear inside a compliment, an unexpected confession, or a simple sentence spoken without much thought. Yet when it happens, something inside you will become very still, because deep down you already sense that people's reactions have been changing. You simply did not have the words for it until now. Your instincts have already noticed the longer looks, the warmer tone in certain conversations, the unexpected return of people who quietly disappeared before, the easy trust from strangers, the people who try to act completely normal around you but cannot fully hide what they are feeling. None of these moments are happening by accident. Your transformation has moved far beyond appearance. It has reached your energy. It has reached your timing. It has reached your connections with other people. And most importantly, it has reached their memories. That is why this season feels so different from the ones before it. Your presence now leaves an impression that stays with people long after the conversation ends. That is why someone may be lying awake thinking about you, not in a dramatic or unrealistic way, but quietly and honestly. They replay the smallest moments, the way you truly listened, the way your eyes softened when someone was speaking, the way your calm completely changed the atmosphere around you. They keep asking themselves why such ordinary moments felt so meaningful. The answer is actually simple. You felt genuine. You felt safe. You felt open without becoming fragile. You felt strong without becoming hard. That combination has become incredibly rare, and when people finally experience something rare, they often do not know how to respond. Some naturally move closer because they want to experience it again. Others hesitate because it feels unfamiliar. Some become silent because the feeling is much deeper than they expected. But no matter how they respond, one thing remains true. They remember you, not because you demanded attention, but because your quiet presence made them feel something real. And that kind of impact lasts much longer than beauty, charm, or first impressions ever could. So stay until the very end, because there is one final truth about your transformation that explains why the people meant to find you are beginning to recognize you in ways they never did before. No matter how they respond, one thing remains true. They remember you. They carry the feeling of being around you long after the moment has passed. And the more your spirit becomes comfortable with who you truly are, the stronger that quiet effect becomes. So if life has felt emotionally intense lately, if ordinary moments have started carrying unexpected meaning, if your name seems to arrive in conversations before you even enter the room, there is a reason for it. Something important is unfolding around your presence. You are stepping into a season where the right people naturally recognize what the wrong people completely missed. Let that stay with you for a moment. The people who truly belong in your life will never need endless proof of your worth. They will simply feel it. They will notice your peace. They will notice your honesty. They will notice your depth, your kindness, and the quiet warmth you carry into every room. That kind of recognition reaches much deeper than praise ever could. It heals places inside your heart that compliments alone never touch. Because this season is not about being noticed by everyone around you, it is about being genuinely seen by the people who truly matter. That is a very different kind of gift. It is deeper, it lasts longer, it quietly changes the way you see yourself. Stay with me because the next part may be exactly what you need to hear today. There may soon be moments when people's admiration becomes more open, more sincere, and much harder to hide. These will not be empty compliments or polite words spoken out of habit. They will come from people who have quietly watched your growth for much longer than you realized. You may hear it through a simple conversation, a heartfelt confession, or an unexpected sentence that catches you by surprise. When those moments arrive, do not brush them aside too quickly. Do not become uncomfortable with them. Do not return to the old habit of doubting yourself. Allow yourself to receive those words with an open heart. Let yourself understand that your healing was never invisible. Your growth was never wasted. Your kindness was never a weakness. It slowly became one of your greatest strengths. It became the very thing that now changes the feeling of every room you walk into. And if part of you is still adjusting to this new version of yourself, that is completely natural. Real transformation often becomes visible to other people before it fully makes sense to the person living through it. But it is real. It is happening. Every quiet step you took brought you here. Every difficult season shaped something valuable inside you. Keep watching because the final truth brings everything together. Here is the truth that has been growing quietly all along. Your beauty was never only about appearance. Your brightest light comes from what your spirit managed to keep after everything it survived. It comes from every silent night you made it through. Every moment you chose healing instead of bitterness. Every time you answered pain with kindness instead of anger. Every private decision to keep your heart open even when opening it felt risky. Even when trusting again happened slowly. That is why people sense something around you that they struggle to explain. That is why some feel peaceful in your company while others become unexpectedly emotional. That is why someone keeps replaying your smallest gestures, your smile, your patience, or the way you truly listened. That is why your presence no longer asks for attention, yet somehow becomes impossible to forget. You are not imagining this change. It is real, and with every passing day, it grows stronger. Soon, certain truths will naturally rise to the surface. Certain people will stop hiding what they truly notice about you. Certain connections will suddenly become much clearer. Certain conversations will confirm what your heart has quietly been feeling for a long time. None of this is happening by accident. It is the natural result of becoming more fully yourself. You are not becoming harder because of life. You are becoming more genuine. You are not fading into the background. You are becoming more refined with every experience. You are not losing your softness. You are finally beginning to understand what that softness has always been. A quiet kind of strength. A strength that does not need noise to be powerful. A strength that stays gentle even after difficult seasons. And when this next chapter fully opens, you will finally understand something your past self desperately needed to hear. You were never too much for the right people. You were never lacking in the ways you feared. You were simply growing, quietly, steadily, powerfully, becoming someone unforgettable without even realizing it. Now, the world around you is slowly beginning to recognize what has been changing inside you all along. The people meant to find you will see what others failed to notice. They will not be drawn only to how you look. They will be drawn to how they feel when they are with you. That is a connection that cannot be forced, copied, or replaced. So as you move into this new season, keep trusting the quiet work that brought you here. Keep protecting your peace. Keep choosing kindness. Keep becoming more of who you truly are. Because the strongest presence is never the loudest one. It is the one that leaves hope, calm, and lasting memories behind. And if this message spoke to your heart, stay with that feeling, because your greatest chapter may be closer than you think.